on Fridays, a football extravaganza, as somebody wrote in here and said earlier. And that continues with Mike Vanderjagt, who is a guy that I always learn something from every time. He's not flexing the biceps today, though. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, what's up in your life since the last we talked, man?
Well, first of all, I was listening to your show before I came on, and you said the NFL game is in London, Ontario, which I found kind of interesting.
Did I say that? Isn't it?
I don't think Western Ontario is hosting the Bears and the Jaguars this Sunday.
Oh, man,
certainly not at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that's what happens when I do this show alone. Continue.
And the other thing is, which is crazy, and I don't know where this came from, but I never even played for the Tampa Bay Storm. I never won an Arena League championship with them. And you're not the first guy, believe me. It's up there somewhere. I have no idea where it came from.
Oh, what did I tell you? I always learn something every time I talk to you.
When you learn something new every day, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so Arena Bowl champion, Arena Bowl 9. Obviously, you don't care enough to have it removed from your Wikipedia, Mike.
I mean, I wouldn't even know how to do it, so we'll just we'll let the myth continue.
Okay, listen. As I say, I always learn something from you. Last time you were on, you talked about Matt DeBuck being teammates. You said, "Say hi to little Matt for me." So I went straight to the high school game that he coaches at, and I did say hey, and he talked about the championship that you guys lovingly won together with the Toronto Argonauts. Would you mind tell me a story from your 2 Grey Cup wins with the Argos, whether it involves Jim Barker, who was on with us last hour, or Doug Flutie, or anything? You smile already when I bring up that era, so that you obviously recall it fondly.
So I have 2 stories. One is kind of well known, but maybe you don't know it, is when we won the Grey Cup, everybody gets the opportunity to have sign out the Grey Cup for the weekend. So I signed it out. I brought it down to a restaurant/bar in Oakville, Ontario, my hometown, and everybody was taking pictures with it, and we were having a good old time, and I was kind of just milling around the bar for the evening. End of the night comes, I go to take the Grey Cup back home, and it's gone. So I always say I've been in 2 Grey Cups. I've won 2 and lost 1 because somebody took it. A college girl at Sheridan College got home from her night out, and it was in her kitchen. So she called the police and said, the Grey Cup is in my kitchen.
Are you ever lucky?
Yeah. So,
like real lucky.
Yeah. And I actually spent the night at Mike O'Shea's house with, I can't remember what female it was, but anyway, it was one of those single guy nights out, and it ended up fine. I got it back, so that was all good. My second story is that in '96, I was 5 for 5. I won the Canadian MVP of the Grey Cup. Doug Flutie was the MVP. Doug wins a truck, and I win 2 tickets that Canadian Airlines flies. So year later, I go 4 for 4. We win the Grey Cup again. Doug wins the truck. Paul Massotti ends up being the Canadian MVP, and Doug gives Paul the truck. And I'm like, well, hello, I go 9 for 9, and you're giving Paul the truck, and so anyway, that was. I sat with Doug at a Super Bowl event, I think 2 years ago, and I certainly brought that up to him.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is, was Mike Morreale on one of those teams with you in '97? So his dad, okay. Well, his dad now is like a custodian of the Grey Cup. I'm not sure you knew that. So he travels around with it. When we won it in Saskatchewan, it has a bodyguard. It's probably thanks to you, so that it doesn't ever get stolen again. And Mike, as we head into Thanksgiving, I asked the viewers earlier, what are they thankful for? As I look at your career here, it is pretty darn special. What are you most thankful for of everything as we head into Thanksgiving weekend in Canada?
So outside of the obvious, obviously my son actually, who's going into the CFL draft this spring. So that's pretty exciting for a family. he's a quarterback and a punter and a kicker. So I think that's going to bode well for him. He's primarily a quarterback, but I've told him, do more you can. So we've really honed in on punting and kicking, which I think he's done a great job for. So we're excited for that. So thankful that my son is healthy, obviously more than anything, as anybody would be. But from a sports standpoint, I would say I'm thankful for Simeon Rice. So now you ask yourself, what's Mike talking about? Why is he thankful for Simeon Rice? Because most people might remember a overtime game where the Colts were down 21 with 4 minutes to go on a Monday night game in Tampa Bay. And we end up tying the game and going into overtime. And this is the year I didn't miss a field goal. So I think it was a 39-yarder and I missed. But Simeon Rice got called for leaping because he tried to block the kick and landed on one of his own teammates, and you can't do that. So we moved the ball up 15 yards, and I chunked the next field goal off the right upright, and it goes in, and the streak continues. So the year, maybe the greatest year of kickers that has ever been. I didn't miss anything, extra points, field goals, postseason, nothing. And when I do autograph signings, a lot of people wanted me to write 2003 perfect season, which is kind of exciting that I have that. But I would say I'm thankful for Simeon Rice for leaping.
And and thank God for that penalty, which is still a penalty. Carlos, ironically or fittingly, in Indianapolis writes in, he says, story times are often fun, especially on this show. A lot of people here have stories to tell. Mike Vanderjagt has several. And here's the interesting thing. I didn't know about your kid. I'll tell you this about DeBuck. He's got two boys. One playing at South Florida as a long snapper, and the other a senior at Cardinal Gibbons High School here in Fort Lauderdale. And they both will be eligible for the CFL draft, might end up playing against or with your kid in the Canadian Football League. And I just wonder, obviously you didn't try to dissuade him from playing football. A lot of guys do. But what's your tutelage of your son in the game?
Well, I constantly tell him wear shorts to work as long as humanly possible. So, I think being a professional athlete opens a lot of doors, as a young 20-something-year-old trying to find your way in life. And, finding a job is difficult and finding what you like to do is difficult. But if you enjoy football and you can do it for a long time, I think it opens a lot of doors. He loves to fish. So, you only work 6 months. So, aside from the goal of being a professional athlete, I think, finding something you enjoy doing, all of that comes along with it. And, I think we're headed in a good direction with him. We'll see what happens obviously in the spring, but he's ready to go.
So the audience all just perked up. Colin in Ottawa says, what school does Mike's son go to? Mandy in Edmonton says, what's his son's name? Who should we watch for in the CFL? They all just, whoa, okay, what? So tell us more, please.
So he went to the University of Findlay, which is a Division II school in Ohio. He's graduated. He played at a JUCO in California, which one of his teammates was Jalen Watson of the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's kind of cool. Very, very much a Division I kickback program out in California. A lot of kids that maybe didn't have the grades to go to a D1 school or are at a D1 school and weren't happy. Well, now it's the portal. Back then there wasn't a portal, so you jump back to a JUCO. So he played out in California, played a little bit in Ohio. He's Canadian, born in the Oakville Hospital. His name is Jay. So he's 6'2.5", 200 pounds, and he's a really, really good quarterback, and I think he's going to do a lot of good things.
Did he ever kick?
Everybody says, hey, do you have kids? I'm like, yeah, my son plays football in college. And they're like, oh, is he a kicker? And I'm like, hell no, he's not a kicker. That is a thankless job. You retire as the most accurate kicker, and anybody only wants to talk about the ones you've missed. So I steer him away from it. And certainly with the last name Vanderjagt is if he does end up banging some field goals, it's going to be a little difficult for him to, I don't want to say not live up to the standards of his father, but I just think he's carved his own path as a quarterback. I went to Michigan State out of high school as a quarterback, so we certainly enjoy throwing the ball back and forth to each other, but he spins it pretty good.
Okay, well, that's outstanding, and I'm actually glad he's not a kicker because, again, Daron Carter is the receivers coach at DeBuck School on that team, and that's the pressure living in his dad's shadow. I think it's evident it was not good for Daron. So I'm glad that your kid's a quarterback and will be watching for that. And, of course, we got Curtis Rourke of Indiana eligible in the CFL draft, too. So all of a sudden, things just got very interesting heading into next spring for the CFL draft. Mike is, well, look, I said I always learn something from you. You corrected my mistakes. This has been a very fruitful chat. Happy Thanksgiving, Mike. It's good seeing you again.
You too, brother. You're kicking me to the curb already? That's it?
Yeah, we got to go. Got to run, man. We're done. We're done.
All right, brother.
Leave them wanting
Be good.
more,
Have a
Mike.
good weekend.
Leave them wanting more. You too. You too. Mike Vanderjagt, record-holding Grey Cup champion, not Arena Bowl champion kicker, joining us on the RP Show.